Hey, I'm so glad that you're joining us for the Southwest Center Virtual Field Day. My name is Tim Schnakenberg, Field Specialist in Agronomy in the Southwest region. I want to talk now about native warm season grasses and especially the establishment of them. Such a big topic. There's so much to take in. You want to do things right with the expense of the seed. And so, it does take a little extra care to make sure that we've got it done and have it done right. Um, they're such they have such a reputation for being difficult to establish, and there's some truth to that. But I do believe things have gotten a little better, especially in the realm of weed control. Weed control, if we can get a handle on that, it can make a huge difference in our success or failure. So, these are pictures I actually received from the University of Tennessee on one of their research farms, where they were able to plant this mix of native grasses on April the 20th of 2012. And then they took this picture on September 28th of 2012. Pretty amazing shot in my mind to have that much growth and that be that well established at that point in time. I have been involved not only with the Southwest Research Center in a demonstration there, but 7 other sites where we have established native warm season grasses for demonstration purposes based upon the NRCS MU grasslands project that I'm involved with. We have been able to establish grasses on several of these farms, in some cases with great success, in other cases not so great. Here on the Richard Asbill farm near Cassville, Missouri, this was planted on April the 29th in 2019. It was a mix of big blue stem Indian grass and little blue stem. I took this picture on September the 4th, and I would say this was an outstanding stand of grass. It turned out just very well. We've got a very good thick stand, and that's what we're looking for initially for that first year if we can get to that point. Another one where I would say was very successful was on the Windymont farm, Gene Coward at Butterfield in Berry County. It was planted the day before, same kind of mix. I took this shot of Gene standing in that patch of 10 acres of native grasses on November the 4th. You can see the shot I took on June the 18th. It didn't look quite so good at that time, but we were being very patient. We were dealing with some weeds, but overall, Gene was very, very pleased with the turnout of it. So much so that the next year he planted 25 more acres. And this is a picture of him I took on July the 17th on an April planted stand. Overall, I would say this was a very successful stand, even in the midst of a drought. And he was happy too. He had just run the bush hog over the top of it, kind of knocked down some of the weeds, but it wasn't in too bad a shape considering what it had been through. The same day, I took this shot of another site at Mount Vernon, and it wasn't quite as successful at this point in time, at least. I'm not giving up on it by any means because there is grass in there, but there were a lot more grassy weeds, crabgrass, goosegrass, some broadleaves. I don't worry about the broadleaves so much. We can deal with that either mowing the top off to open the canopy up or using a herbicide to knock that back. But sometimes it doesn't always turn out quite so well. Again, I'm not giving up on this stand because there is some grass in there. Rainfall is very critical to make this happen. These are pictures again from Tennessee that Pat Kaiser gave me to share with you. 2 mid-April plantings in 2016. You can see these were the shots on June the 7th, and on August the 11th, the one on the left had received a fair amount of rainfall, and it turned out to be an excellent stand of native grass. The one on the right just did not, and that site did not get the rainfall that it needed, and it just did not take off the first year. There's lots of challenges with establishment of native grasses. With the exception of eastern gamagrass, it has a seed about the size of a corn kernel. The rest of those grasses are fairly chaffy and they're hairy and they are sometimes hard to flow. They'll bridge up in a drill where they won't flow through a broadcast seeder very well. So we have to make some allowances for that. Big blue stem and Indian grass in particular are that way. You can sometimes buy debearded seed, and debearded seed will help it to flow. Or you just need to use some specialized drills that have maybe a wider throat to get the seed to drop, and then special stirring units that will stir the seed in the box to get it to move. Some cases you might want to experiment with a carrier to mix with the seed to get it to flow better. There are dormancy issues. We probably see that most with the eastern gamagrass. So bear that in mind. Dormancy can be a big concern with eastern gamagrass. As far as establishment options, there's dormant seeding, and then there's what I'd call pre-season. Dormant seeding would be over the winter months. You've got the ground in shape, ready to go. You're broadcasting or drilling the seed, and you're just waiting on the weather to turn in order to get it done. You can tromp that in with cattle. You can run some sort of a harrow to kind of mix that seed, get the seed to soil contact, and allow the weather to do a lot for you. Or particularly if you're either tilling the ground or you're no-tilling, you can do the pre-season approach. And I think in our area, probably late April is a good time, because May is when it starts germinating. So having it in there in time for the weather to turn right is a good thing to do. Probably mid-June would be the latest I'd really want to go. It's happened later than that, but mid-June is probably the latest in my view. So no-till is an option if you have the right kind of drill, or you can do some conventional seed bed preparation and then use a roller. Works good. It needs to be a good firm seed bed. We don't want to bury that seed. And sometimes, particularly in a dormant seeding, we can broadcast into dead residue or a burned out area. The last thing we want to do is plant too deep. These are small seeded grasses that if you go deeper than a 1/4 inch, sometimes you may not always get what you want. And depth control is a real serious concern with no-till drills. So it's impossible to get it right, perfect, but we want, I'd rather have seed on top of the ground than seed buried too deep. We have a much better success rate with seed on top of the ground than if it gets planted too deep. So bear that in mind. Lastly, I want to say that minimizing weed competition is the key to success in most cases. That and probably adequate moisture at the right time. I think you can have some success, and we have tools available to us, such as Plateau or the generic product Panoramic, that can be used on big blue stem and Indian grass and side oats grama, little blue stem without any problem. We would not use these on switchgrass or eastern gamagrass. They're not tolerant of them. So bear that in mind. And that has made a lot of decisions for what species people want to plant, simply because they have weed control options with these. The other thing we can do is have some continual mowing. Just kind of keep things, a little bit high, cut it a little bit high. If herbicides are not an option, you'll have to just open the canopy up from time to time. There's a point in time late in the season, though, we want it to just take off and grow on its own and maybe even set some more seed. So late summer, we'll want to stop doing that. 2,4-D can also be used if need be. All of these, as far as in-season control, needs to be done after we get some good healed in establishment of the grasses. The Plateau and the Panoramic broadleaves and grasses can both be addressed with this, and this can be used as a pre-emerge, and I highly recommend it as a pre-emerge. but it can also be used at certain times later in the season as a post-emerge. So this gives us some options for weed control. Hope you've enjoyed these virtual field day presentations, and hope it's been helpful to you today.